Thanks for joining us on this edition of Pacific Magazine. I'm Airman First Class Jay Hernandez. Arctic Care 2009 is a joint service medical readiness and logistics training exercise designed to provide medical, dental, optical, and veterinary care in remote villages in Alaska. Marine Sergeant Will Skelton was at this year's outreach, and he brings us a closer look at this year's medical teams as they get ready to fly out from Bethel, Alaska.
More than 100 service members from the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines gathered in Bethel, Alaska to conduct Arctic Care 2009. The Joint Service Team, in conjunction with the Alaskan Army National Guard, placed teams in more than 10 outlying villages to conduct a medical readiness training exercise.
Arctic Care is very important to these villages. They look forward to the military assisting with their medical care. Some of these villages are very remote, where they might not be able to see a physician, optometrist, dentist on a regular basis, and we assist in those services.
While the logistical planning was nearly a year in the making, specific planning for the individual villages required Captain Reistoffer to make a trip up before the Alaskan winter set in.
We initially had a planning conference in September. At that time, we went to all the villages, figured out what their need was. So after the initial planning conference, we came back into Bethel and decided what we could provide to that village.
The individual teams had to undergo orientation briefings on what to expect in the Alaskan tundra before they could leave Bethel for their villages. Once on location, the teams will stay within the villages for the duration of the exercise. Marine Sergeant Will Skelton, Bethel, Alaska.
One important need in the remote villages around Alaska is the need for doctors. Anything from a toothache to poor vision to regular aches and pains can be hard to treat. And one important part of this year's exercise fell to the general medical docs. I caught up with one reserve doctor as he treated patients in the village of Quinhagak. In the village of Quinhagak, Alaska, medical care is limited to what community health aides can provide in a small clinic on the outskirts of town. During Arctic Care 2009, the clinic received something they normally don't have: medical physicians. Medical physician Commander Greg Taylor was part of the medical team attached to Quinhagak and provided general health care for the local residents.
Even to see a primary care doctor, a physician's assistant, they have to travel a long ways. I think I've been able to at least streamline the process a little bit. I can see them, I can refer them to their specialty clinics so that hopefully they can get in and get their specialty care in a more expedited fashion.
The isolation of the town makes it difficult for people to get certain health care and vaccines, and Arctic Care was able to bring much of this directly to the people.
There's been a number of cases that we see that I could treat here with what we have here. It prevented them having to fly all the way to Bethel or to Anchorage to see a doctor for routine medical care that we take for granted.
Quinhagak was just one of 14 villages covered by different medical teams during Operation Arctic Care. Airman First Class Jay Hernandez, Quinhagak, Alaska. Team Quinhagak not only had the important job of treating the general health of the community they called home during the exercise, they also had to treat its eyes. With conditions like snow blindness a threat to people living in the Alaskan tundra, I saw a variety of conditions come through the clinic as I spent the day with Team Quinhagak's optician. Sight. It's something that the people of Quinhagak don't get health care for too often. During Operation Arctic Care 2009, hundreds of people came to the local clinic to get their eyes inspected in the hopes that a simple pair of glasses could clear their vision. Air Force Captain Chris Putnam was the optical lead for the health team attached to Quinhagak.
Arctic Care has been something that Air Force Optometry has been involved with for a number of years. I'm currently the Air Force resident this year, so typically the Air Force resident gets to participate. And it's a privilege, but it's one of those career-building, career-enhancing opportunities that not everyone gets a chance to do. And it's a real-world experience, a medical readiness training exercise. It can really allow you to play a broader role, allow a greater scope of practice in a semi-austere environment.
For some villagers of Quinhagak, this was the first time they've ever been to an optical clinic.
We just don't want to give them the wrong pair of glasses because we don't get the chance to come out to these villages very often. And I just don't want to put him in that kind of position. So I want to be as accurate as possible and try to leave no stone unturned to make sure that that happens. You know, an individual that has no ocular health conditions, just has a simple need for glasses, if they're in an environment where those glasses are not available, though that eye care is not available, that can be absolutely detrimental. They cannot, they can't hold down a job, they can't see clearly, and for a lot of individuals, their livelihood depends on their ability to see up close. So something as simple as a pair of reading glasses can change the world for them. Can make an individual who's totally dependent on someone else for, sufficiency, a living to be earned for them. Overnight, you can make their world better. You can really give them back that self-sufficiency with a simple pair of glasses, and I think that's the most important part, the most important role that optometry can play.
The eye care received here will be the only optical care some villagers receive until the next time Operation Arctic Care comes to this small village. Airman First Class Jay Hernandez, Quinhagak, Alaska. For the most part, most of us in the military don't look forward to a trip to the dentist. But for the people of Quinhagak, Alaska, having a dentist in town isn't a common occurrence. And for our next story, Sergeant Will Skelton shows us how even a dentist is welcome in the village of Quinhagak.
One of the main problems affecting the residents of Quinhagak, Alaska is the lack of a dentist. And with a recent jump in the price of a plane ride to Bethel, the difficulty to see a dentist is increased. And that leaves the people of Quinhagak open to many dental problems.
The number one issue really is dental decay, and it's really quite remarkably prevalent. Almost every individual comes to the clinic with some degree of decay, and the decay tends to be severe, and it also tends to be pretty widespread within each individual's mouth.
Arctic Care's dental clinics weren't designed to give dental cleanings, but rather treat patients with cavities and painful abscesses. And as Lieutenant Colonel Medical explains, some abscesses can be quite debilitating.
In my civilian practice as well as here, people tell me that it is truly very severe, very uncomfortable, almost debilitating pain in some situations. So I think being able to relieve that person of that severe, almost excruciating pain in some situations helps them get on with their life.
While not only treating pre-existing problems, Lieutenant Colonel Medical tried to educate the people of Quinhagak on proper dental care.
What would be the most effective way to prevent dental problems? And I guess I'd have to say it would be a combination of fluoride use and diet control and home care. And I think sometimes people don't really appreciate how important those simple steps are. It's almost as though they're too simple. Certainly in the United States, really dental decay should be almost non-existent.
Marine Sergeant Will Skelton, Quinhagak, Alaska.
One important service the Arctic Care team in Quinhagak provided was a day spent screening the kids at the village school. I spent the day with the team as they checked the dental and vision health of Quinhagak's kids. For the people of Quinhagak, to see an optician or a dentist for a standard checkup, they would have to travel hundreds of miles to a city with more medical resources. During Operation Arctic Care 2009, military members were invited to the local school and provided basic eye care and dental screenings. General education teacher Tim DeBelt expressed his thoughts on Operation Arctic Care making a visit to the school.
It's good for you guys to be here because we don't have to worry about shuttling students down to the clinic all day. I mean, everything's contained here, so it's logistically, it's better for us.
Aside from providing medical care, the presence of the medical team did something else for the students.
You know, the kids love seeing you guys up here. The hallways were buzzing. Kids were asking you guys questions, so I think just the overall school spirit was pretty neat to have you guys here. I wanted to thank you guys for coming out here. I think if we could do this every year, it would be great. You're welcome here anytime, and the community I know is very grateful for all of you guys coming out here and helping out.
The school screenings provided are not a common thing for this school and help make Arctic Care a little more special for both the service members and the children. Airman First Class Jay Hernandez, Quinhagak, Alaska. And for our last story, Sergeant Will Skelton gives us a closer look at how Arctic Care 2009 helped the community of Quinhagak as a whole and the 13 other villages that benefited from the efforts of this year's teams.
The tiny village of Quinhagak, Alaska received much-needed medical assistance during Arctic Care 2009. The Quinhagak Clinic, which has no on-staff doctor, relies on dedicated nursing aides to provide treatment for a variety of afflictions.
It's a good thing they're here because some people here don't have enough money to go into Bethel and be seen by a doctor. Some people don't have Medicaid, insurance, so it's a good thing they're here.
Quinhagak is located nearly 100 miles southwest of Bethel, Alaska, and the only way to get there is by plane or a 5-hour snowmobile ride. These conditions make it very difficult and expensive for medical care, so the sight of physicians in town was appealing.
The community has loved having Arctic Care here. It provides an opportunity for them to get seen, dental, vision screenings. With this, it really helps out. It really gives people a boost.
I feel relieved that they're seeing, instead of going into Bethel, mainly helping us take care of their medical issues.
Marine Sergeant Will Skelton, Quinhagak, Alaska.
And that wraps up this edition of Pacific Magazine. I'm Airman First Class Jay Hernandez. From all of us here in Quinhagak, Alaska, thanks for watching.
Arctic Care is very important to these villages. They look forward to the military assisting with their medical care.
Overnight, you can make their world better. You can really give them back that self-sufficiency with a simple pair of glasses. And I think that's the most important part, the most important role that optometry can play.
I wanted to thank you guys for coming out here. I think if we could do this every year, it'd be great. You're welcome here anytime. And the community, I know, is very grateful for all of you guys coming out here and helping out.
On the next edition of Pacific Magazine, Airman First Class Jay Hernandez takes us to the Philippines, where U.S. Marines worked and trained side by side with their Philippine counterparts. Don't miss this report on Balakatan 2009. We'll have those stories and more as we bring the Pacific Command to the world, weeknights at 6:45 and 10 on AFN Prime Pacific.